Hi YouTubers, welcome back. Today we're going to learn a little bit more about HTML, specifically H tags, P tags, and div tags. So without further ado, I bring to you Alright guys, before we jump into code, I want to give you an analogy. A lot of people would like to think that a developer is like a builder. If you're going to build a house, you're going to have a blueprint that's going to lay out the instructions and the design for you. You're going to have a list of resources that you need in order to accomplish building the house. And it's going to be a very A to B to C to D to E process. Realistically, to become an excellent developer, I think that you need to think of yourself more as an artist in front of a blank canvas. Meaning that you start with not a lot of direction. Maybe you have an idea and you just start painting. And along the way, you have a mountain and you realize, hey, I actually think a tree belongs there. And you go ahead and paint the tree in. And along the way, you find other things that might not have worked the way you thought about in your head when you're painting the project. That's how I feel you should think about as being a developer. You're going to start out most likely working at a startup to build your resume or someplace that's going to give you a junior position. But if you can be empowered to do a lot of research along the way, you're going to be able to find when it doesn't work out that you're given the exact instructions how to put something together and all the resources and the functionality, you're going to be able to say, hey, I kind of got this idea. I think I'll start doing this. And oh, I found this is something that I need to ask a question about. Let me do some research. Let me come to them with a solution. Awesome, I can move on. So I think if you can just start with that mindset, empower yourself to learn the art of Googling, start to develop an understanding of when you search for something, which websites are going to give you the most credible and reliable resources and answers. I think you're really going to start yourself off for a good journey and become a more valuable web developer quicker. With that said, now let's dive into some code. I'm going to open up Google Chrome because I have a few things pulled up already that I want to share with you. To start out, we're going to talk about H tags. Now the H tags stand for heading tags. You can see here the H1 to H6 tags are used to define HTML headings. The H1 defines the most important heading. H6 defines the least important heading. And really what I did, guys, to get to this result here is I typed in H tags. And then I hit enter in Google. You can see right here, W3 Schools pops right up to give us some information. Also, Google provides us with a little bit more result for SEO and H tag relationships. You can see here the header tag, or the H1 tag in HTML, will usually be the title of a post or other emphasized text on the page. It will usually be the largest text that stands out. This is pretty important because when Google or other search engines try to look at your page and optimize the results for people who are looking for something that you might have content for, really it likes to put together organized websites as some of the top results. Now there's a couple things Google will do, kind of going on a side tangent here, but you see HTML H1 to H6 tag -W3 schools. I'm going to click on that again. I'm going to right click here and show you guys that this is in fact an H1 tag. Now when Google is doing SEO, sometimes it will look for the H1 tag for results or for SEO clarification. Other times, you guys remember how I mentioned in the head we've got some other information called meta tags and stuff? You can see here the title tag is called HTML H1 to H6 tag. So it really just depends. Google sometimes looks at different things under different scenarios, but what's really important is to start understanding when to use an H1 tag and when to use the other H tags. So let's hop over to our editor.
Can see here that we've already got our H1 tag. I'm going to go ahead and just delete that spacing. Follow along with me here. I'm going to go to the end here, and I'm going to hit Shift, Alt, and the down arrow. You see how it instantly copied the line over for me? That's another thing I really like about VS Code is just the keyboard shortcuts. Rather than highlighting everything, hitting Control C and Control V, right? It allows us to just have some simple copy and paste. So I'm going to go ahead and make a few more of them. There we are. That should be 6 tags there. Another nice keyboard shortcut. You see how if you just have the cursor there, it highlights both the H1s. If you hit Control D, now it highlights them all. And if you hit Control D again, it moves the cursor to each H1 tag we want. The reason why I do that here is because I want to edit them. So we're just going to start with the first or the second one. And I'm going to make, I'm going to make that an H2, and then an H3, and then an H4, H5, and H6. Now I'm going to hit Control S to save it, jump back over to my browser, and there you go. You can see we've got the hello world in different sizes for the different H tags. Now, it creates different sizes because each browser has essentially default styling. As you saw when I hovered over this, there is some blue and some orange, right? The fonts are different sizes. We'll talk more about that in CSS. Essentially down here in the right-hand corner, you can see that Google gives you a legend, if you will, on what the different colors mean. Orange means margin. Yellow means border, green means padding, and the blue is just the whole container of the actual element. We're highlighting the body tag right now. Moving on, we'll go over to the P tag. Now the P tag defines paragraph. As you can see, browsers automatically add some space or margin before and after each P element. The margins can be modified with CSS. Let's go back over to our VS Code. We'll click to the end, enter, enter, and we'll do a P tag and say, hey, what's up? Control S, go back over to Google and hit refresh. Now you can see the P tag came up over here, shows up right here, and just what the W3 Schools said, it gives it some of its own margin. Pretty cool. Moving on to div tags. Div stands for division. The div tag defines a division or section in an HTML document. The div element is often used as a container for other HTML elements to style them with CSS or to perform certain tasks with JavaScript. Now you can see here, it says the div tag and then the div element. Sometimes these are used synonymously. When I'm talking about div tags, I'm talking only about the div tag. When I talk about div elements, I'm talking about the div tag and everything that is inside that div tag. Okay? So we'll go back over to here and let's try it out. We'll do div, hit enter, and we'll throw an H2 tag in there and say, howdy, y'all. Go to the end there, create another div, enter, and we'll create a paragraph tag. Then say, yee-haw, because I am a cowboy. Hit Control S for save, go back to the browser, and hit refresh. So now you can see they showed up, but over here in our console, which, by the way, if you didn't see me open this up, here's how you do it. I'm going to go ahead and close it. You hover over the element you want to look at, right-click, go down to Inspect. That opens up your console for Google. Now you can see these are all of our HTML elements, and the div tag really contains both the h2, the div, and the paragraph. So if I click this, it expands down to the h2, but the other div we created is still collapsed. If you expand that, now we have access to our p tag. This is a really nice way to start organizing your HTML file. We're going to talk later on about other tags you can use besides div, when to use other tags besides div. Those are pretty important to understand. Now looking back here, I highly recommend using W3 Schools as one of your websites that you look to quite often. The reason why I say that is because here at the top navigation bar, you can see it has anything from HTML and a lot of different languages that you can really look at and learn about. When I Google things, I do oftentimes look at W3 Schools as one of the reliable sources of information. Especially when you're first starting out, that's going to be very helpful.
Great work today, guys. I'm very excited for you. You're starting to get a solid foundation on what it takes to become a front-end web developer. Between now and next time, I challenge you to Google the elements that we learned about today. I want you to go ahead and learn a little bit more about them, find a couple websites that you think are going to be good resources for you, and then next time we're going to learn about anchor tags, ordered lists, and unordered lists. If I've earned your subscription, please go ahead and click the bell underneath. Also, if you got any questions, comments, or feedback, go ahead in the comment section below. And until next time, guys, talk to you later.